Call the meeting to order and open for public comment at this time. There's no one here and no one called in to my knowledge, so we'll move on with our minutes in hand. We have minutes for February 19th, February 26th, and March 11th. Entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve those minutes.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to our topic for discussion today, the roundtable discussion on fiscal budgets. And who's coordinating this? Is this Ron or Danielle?
It's the Human Services Fiscal Officer.
Yeah, but who's going to run down the line? I want a list of who's.
I don't know.
Tammy Bender's.
I'm sorry?
Tammy Bender.
Tammy Bender has the list. Tammy?
Okay, Tammy.
Yeah. Make comments before we get started with all the fiscal officers. Just to remind the commissioners, the budgets are all based on estimates that the system and still have their funding yet. So the budgets are put in there based on estimates, and then we'll go in and do resolutions as they know what their funding is throughout the year. Children and youth, the budget's put in based on their needs-based budget, so they're a little bit different than each one. And first on the list that I had to talk is children and youth.
Thanks, Tammy. Hi, everybody. It's Nikki. I'm just going to highlight some of the program changes that we asked for in our needs-based budget. So one of them was staffing. We did ask for another attorney, 2 specialized case aides, fiscal tech, and a supervisor. We did not ask for any of the caseworkers. Obviously, we've been having staffing issues, and these were all to help support our staff. We are seeing an increase again in need for court time, so that's why we need another attorney. The fiscal tech, we're going to focus a lot on our quality. We've been expanding our quality assurance unit, and so we really wanted to bring some quality into our fiscal area. The supervisor would help balance out our ratio for our supervisor to caseworker ratio. And the 2 case aides are a step up from the case aides we have that we've found out some other offices are using to be more supportive with the caseworkers. They can do some of the data entry to take it off of the caseworkers. Also, there's the Families First legislative passed, and there's a piece of that will take effect in October of 20, which has a big impact on congregate care funding. So any children placed in a facility, group home type of a facility, the funding for that, how we get reimbursed is going to be different. As a state as a whole, we've been working together in a work group. Here in the agency, we started our own work group to try to help limit the amount of children, obviously, that are needed to go into that type of facility, but we are aware it's going to happen. So there's a lot of pieces to that could have an impact on our budget. We asked for and received a specific $30,000 allotment of money in our housing grant. This was new for us this year. We started to see a lot of issues with families needing either children having to come into placement or having to help out families a lot when really they just needed some time out for transitioning, security deposits maybe to get an apartment, some trash, help paying for those green bags to help clean out. Are they up here now? There we go. So we specifically asked for this allotment of money, and we're going to write specific policies around it to be supportive to families, to hopefully, again, keep children out of placement. The only other impact that we saw going into 2021 is we are very high through JPO placements right now and institutional placements. Unfortunately, this is always an area as a whole we're low on. So when it comes to needs-based, when you're low, the county only certifies you, but the state certifies you lower. And then if you place one kid in one of these high placement facilities, it kind of hurts us. and JPO currently does have somebody there, so we know that's going to carry over from 1920 into our 2021, so that'll be an impact. And we also have seen an increase in our transportation costs, and that's directly related to that every student receives app that passed. And so that's when children are removed from their home and have to be placed into another facility, we have to try to keep them in their home school district. So that has required a lot of extra cost transporting the children back and forth to their home school until decisions made whether or not they need to stay there or be transferred. So those are the highlights of our programmatic changes. I didn't know, Lisa might have some more to add fiscally.
Just wanted to add about our tentative allocations. We did receive them, and I felt that it was a very good allocation that we did receive. This was all before the pandemic happened, so as long as they can change our allocation, I think we'll do very well. Did receive an 8.6% increase in our Act 148 funding, which is great. Noting the state really did cut us on with the institutional placement, and they seem to do that every year. So, but I think we did well with our allocation. So let's hope they stick with it. That's all I have.
That's it for children and youth.
Okay.
Any questions for Nikki? Then we can move on to drug and alcohol with Jack and Ryan.
Okay, I'm going to provide an overview for us here. And just, you know, next year we put together the budget based on what we knew about state allocations and federal allocations prior to the pandemic. In terms of the state budget, flat funding, requested, anticipated, drug and alcohol services. Now, I think most folks realize that in the current fiscal year, we have enjoyed an increase in both state funding and in federal funding in response to the current opioid epidemic. And our understanding is that that level of funding will continue at the state. And similarly, at the federal level, we received word that there will be a third year of what's referred to as state opioid response funding. And so our plans, our programmatic plans for the new fiscal year are really to just maintain the increase in treatment services for folks with opioid use disorders that we've included in the current fiscal year. I will say that at the federal level there are some question marks because, not just because of the pandemic funding, but there was a decision made, and I think this was a good decision, that in year 3 of this additional federal funding, they would expand the money to be used for not just folks with use disorders, but there's a recognition of a growing increase in stimulant use. And so our understanding is that the money that we received in the third year of SOAR funding can be also used for people with cocaine or methamphetamine addiction. And so that's good news. What we would really like is for the money to be expanded to be used for any type of substance use. It makes it a little bit awkward and funky. There's a lot of additional administrative work in making sure that we only use that money for people with a very specific diagnosis tied to their drug of choice. The question mark associated with that, though, is Pennsylvania's current allocation of state or federal opioid funding has been linked to our level of overdose fatalities compared to the rest of And so whether Pennsylvania as a state will receive the same amount, they don't know yet, and we don't know yet. So we don't know how that might affect allocations to counties. So we're proceeding with their recommendation with the assumption that we need to sustain and continue all the current programming. Are there any questions?
No question for Jack. We can move on to aging and community services.
Yeah, I'm trying to find her in my notes.
You're not.
Yeah.
You're.
There she is. You're good now.
I'm good now?
Yes.
Okay, well, that was fun. I'm done.
Sorry.
I was talking about basically that we did end under community spaces with that advent. We decided to end the service coordination and nursing home transition, which of course has effect on aging and the community services, human service development fund. Fortunately, through attrition, we were able to maintain all the staff who wanted to stay. I think what's big on the horizon for aging this year is the proposed $8 million that is in the Commonwealth budget to help with the waiting list for options. That's hopefully across the network, it will benefit everyone. We hope that we will at least be able to reduce, maybe not even eliminate, being hopeful, the waiting list. To provide personal care, adult daycare, that's our home delivered meals, are all at this point in time on a waiting list that started in July of 19. So depending how those $8 million get distributed across the state, we have no idea how the department is going to determine that, but we're hopeful that that will help us with the waiting list and ease that. Of course, we don't have a waiting list for caregiver support because that's federal funding and state funding that is available, so that continues. And as always, we must provide protective services and their ombudsman program as well as transportation. Senior centers, I would say, remain open. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic, senior centers are not open, but that is not a program that is affected by the waiting list for the options. We did start our new assessment process April 1st, and as we had hoped, it is more efficient, and we're able to provide the assessments in a much faster turnaround. So we will continue to monitor the staffing needs for that. We do have to, by the contract of aging well, have those turned around in 10 business days. So it's imperative that we have adequate staffing to maintain that. We are at this point, as I mentioned, with the senior centers being closed, we have transitioned over to what we're calling grab-and-go meals that are handed out in the senior center parking lots 3 days a week with a Monday they get a snack for Tuesday, and Wednesday a snack for Thursday. So that's going well. We're very fortunate, I think, in Cumberland County because we have not seen a real uptick in the request for meals at this point in time. Of course, we don't know how long this is going to go on either, but we do have 5 Meals on Wheels programs throughout the county also who have been able to continue to provide the meals. So this is just really an unknown. The department does believe that there will be federal funds available to assist if our costs should go up. Due to the fact that we have to provide more meals, so far, that's really all I have, unless there's any questions. Kevin and Christine are standing by too, if there's anything that they can help.
Nope, here.
And
We're gonna mute you again. Who's next?
There's no question. You just couldn't hear you. Okay. There's no question questions, we can move on to MH and IDC with Amy and Sue.
Talk a little bit about programmatic kinds of things first.
Yes, please.
Sue?
Oh, so you want, okay, so let me want B and EI first. So on the IDD side, for next year, the state has increased our administrative duties that are related to incident management. And we also have an increase in referrals for service due to autism being added to the population that we serve. So what we had to do there was to hire another program specialist. We have hired the program specialist. We have not started that person yet because of COVID-19. So in the proposed budget, there is also a waiting list initiative because we have many individuals sitting on a waiting list waiting for services. We do not know what will happen with that yet. As far as the budget goes. But there is a waiting list initiative in there for like $15 million to increase IDD services. For early intervention, for the past couple of years, we've been experiencing a big increase in referrals for early intervention. For instance, in January, we had 99 referrals, which is the highest number we've ever had in 1 month. So we also hired a new service coordinator for early intervention, and she actually started on March 30th, and she is working from home. I have not even seen her yet. But as far as the proposal in the budget for early intervention, there is also an increase in funding for early intervention, but again, I would say we don't know what will happen with that yet. So that's what I have for IDD and early intervention.
Okay, and I'll just take a couple of minutes to talk a little bit about the mental health budget. Programmatically, really, in terms of the state budget, we're anticipating hopefully flat funding. COVID-19 has, I think, put everybody into a bit of a tailspin. Lots of unknowns with this, both federally and from the state budget vantage point. If we are able to maintain the same funding levels that we currently have, probably the biggest programmatic change that we're working on development of is the long-term structured residence, which has actually started last fall, but annualizing our allocation of a little over an extra $1 million a year. So it's a rather large project. Of course, construction of the project stopped with COVID-19, so we're anxious to get things operating again as we're able to. But otherwise, in terms of staffing, we're going to maintain at the same levels that we've been at. And just continue to attempt to meet the need. The increases in, let's just say the need is greater than the resource to be able to provide for it this time. But because of flat funding, we're just going to continue to try to work within the parameters that we're given the best of our ability. In terms of the actual budget that's been presented, Linda, maybe you would like to share a little bit, since MH and IDB are put together in the county's budget.
Okay. The biggest increase that we put into our budget for next year is for services, and as Andy stated, that's basically for the LTSR as well as the RDI referrals going up. That means we possibly are doing services for more base-funded children. Revenues also increased about the same, and that will be the LTSR funding. And our MA funding, we're hoping that will be able to increase the amount that we bring in next year based on the services that we provide. Our subsidy did go up. A lot of that is based on the LTSR, over $1 million, because Cumberland has to pay 3.19% of every state dollar that we get. And currently, that's a total of about $400,000 that Cumberland County has to match for the Human Services Block Grant. And the EFI, as those dollars go up, it's 90/10 funding, so therefore, we get more dollars, which we are hoping. We need to more pay for these kiddos. That will, every dollar we get and cent has to come from the county. Other than that, I don't have anything else.
Do you folks have any questions for us?
We're good.
Good.
Thank you.
And then if there's no questions, we'll move on to Paul with Criminal Justice Services.
Yeah, so our budget for 2021 went up a little, and that's based on two areas. One, our salaries and benefits and program line. So the change from last year's with salaries and benefits is we recently added or filled a position that's been previously unfilled. So that's an added person plus up my department. And then we just recently upgraded 4 assistant positions to better reflect what they do in terms of drug testing. So, and then in terms of program supplies, we're experiencing a surge in drug testing. In the time that I've been doing this, we've never decreased the amount of tests that we've done. They continue to increase. And certainly with the probation department implementing a drug testing policy last December, our numbers have jumped dramatically. So we programmed those anticipated costs in. However, on the bright side, that our vendor, I reached out to my vendor shortly after we closed down and was able to get some pretty good savings on our supplies. So based on the excessive number of supplies that we order year to year, they decided to cut us a breakout on our pricing. We're going to see some pretty good savings with that. So that's really kind of about it for our budget. Any questions?
Well, I have one quick question, not so much the budget, but with the adult probation's policy change last, what are the results we're seeing from that?
Well, what we see is that the majority of the people being tested are not youth. It's isolated. What tends to happen is that there's a number of people that just tend to test positive all the time, and then the rest of them don't ever test positive at all. So it's successful by the means of we're identifying people who are not using and doing what they're supposed to. And then we're also successful in we're identifying the people that have a problem, need continuing care. One of the things that it's just one of the issues that we've had with the shutdown and not being able to test is all of a sudden we're realizing that how significant drug testing is. I mean, I've had a lot of conversation with the courts about the lack of drug testing and their concerns over that. Certainly, and I had an email conversation with Jack today. The coroner has identified we've had a lot of fentanyl overdoses the last week, and 7 overdoses the last week. And so it seems like we're losing more people to overdoses than we are to COVID. So, and unfortunately, I'm not in a position to be able to respond to that at this time.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? No, we're good. Let's move on, please.
That's the last department. Is there any questions overall for anybody?
Doesn't sound like it, so I guess we'll,
I'd like to ask a very basic question, Tammy, and please forgive me for not knowing this. We've got Fund 240, Fund 255, and Fund 270. Are those state funds?
Cindy and Christine answer that, but I believe most of that is state funding.
Okay.
$270 and $240 are state funds.
270 and 240. And is 255 then federal?
255 has both federal and state funds.
Okay, thank you.
Actually, sorry, 270, accounting unit 131010, there are some federal funds in there
Okay,
for temporary student assistance program, there's federal funding there.
and you said that's for temporary,
It's TFAP, Temporary Emergency Food Assistance Program.
thank you.
Huh?
That was my only question, thank you.
Is there any other questions from anyone?
No, there's no other questions, so unless you have anything else for us, we'll move on to other business. Okay.
That's all I have. I
Okay.
don't know if David has any comments.
I don't have any additional comments.
Okay, anybody else? We'll consider this to be other business at this point. Anything additional? Staff, no. Departments, no.
Nope.
Commissioners, no.
Thank you.
Okay, that'll do it. We thank you all for the presentation and for the information. Anybody thinks of any questions, we can just email the individual department heads. So if there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
You're adjourned. Thank you all.